What's going on, YouTube? My name is SlapHappyGreen, coming at you like the back of the hand because we are back with an injury. Although I don't know how well you guys will be able to see it against the camera. With a little bit of an injury. Back from day 4 of our ESL 1 Cologne Katowice Major. No, Cologne, not Katowice. Not Katowice. Injuries got me all sorts of like that. Call it blood loss. Anyways, today's matches were the first day of playoffs, including our 4 quarterfinal matchups. Only 4 matches today, all of which were best of 3s. Matchups included VP versus who did they play? Astralis. Of course, VP making out first of Group C. Astralis narrowly making it past Dignitas with 2 stand-ins. Oh, that hurts. 2 stand-ins against Dignitas yesterday. Match number 2 was SK Gaming, who came out first of Group D, versus Flipside, who upset NIP in a best of 3 yesterday in the last day of group stages. Match 3 being Navi, last major semifinalist, versus Team Liquid. Navi was last major's runner-ups, and Liquid was semifinalists. And then the last match of the day was Fnatic versus Gambit. Couldn't remember for a second who they were, and I'm actually going to mute my TV right now because I got a baseball game on, and I don't want that to cause them any issues. Anyways, so those are our 4 games of the day. Astralis VP, SK Flipside, Liquid Navi, and Fnatic Gambit. So we're going to talk about the first match, and in case you guys did not know, VP won. Talked about this matchup yesterday. Very experienced, very good at Land's team in Virtus Pro. Gotta wonder how they're going to do in this tournament against a Astralis team that's had a couple of issues. Is now playing with 2 stand-ins, including their coach Zonic, who had to join them on day 3 because day 2 Dupree fell sick with inflamed appendix, had to have surgery. So already underhanded sort of Astralis team, having Glaive play in place of KRB. Then had to bring in yet another stand-in. Fortunately, it's someone who already knew their tactics, their play styles, and all that kind of stuff, but not necessarily someone who unfortunately had a lot of experience playing Counter-Strike Global Offensive at that high of a level. Overall, especially the first map was a lot closer than I thought it would be. Overpass, good map for both teams. Again, I think one of the biggest stories of the tournament so far is how huge Glaive was for Astralis as a stand-in. I don't think he really had a bad game in any of their matchups so far, really. Especially for a stand-in. He was very contributive with all of the maps that they played and all the matchups that they played, and did a good job of very consistently putting frags on the board. But VP, again, a little bit more experience. 5-some that's been together for a long time now. Good LAN team overall. Just managed to come up with a couple of really big clutch rounds, including a huge CZ performance by Taz in the last round of regulation to tie a game up at 15-15, send it to overtime. VP ended up winning all 3 rounds of the first half of overtime, finally finishing off Astralis on map 1 on the last round of the first overtime. Map number 2 being Train, obviously Virtus Pro's playground. Probably still one of their best maps. Very good game out of them. Wait, was it Train? I swear Train was in there somewhere. I might be misremembering because, again, like we've seen all tournament, a lot of Train games, a lot of Cobble games. So I'm just going to look this up real quick. Just double check my maps, because I'm pretty sure second map was Train. Schedule. Sorry about this, guys. I probably should have done this before I started the video, but almost actually forgot to do this video. So there we go, and there we go. So Virtus Pro versus Astralis. First map, I know first map was Overpass. That was Astralis' pick. It was actually a really good game. Yeah, second map was indeed Train. Yeah, Glaive almost dropping 30 frags in 36 rounds. Like, huge performance, second only to Device on Astralis. But first map, Pasha was really great first map, really came to life. Again, we talk about Taz with the CZ on last round of regulation. Guys just coming out with great plays all game long. And it kind of was more of the same. Astralis actually did a really good side of shutting down VP's T-side, which is kind of a little bit what they're more known for on their trains, just having such a dynamic T-side. Astralis did a really good job of selling that down. Again, Glaive was a huge factor in that. There were some rounds where he was getting as many as like 3-4 frags. Huge contributor. Even Zonic was getting some good kills in areas like Pop Dog with the Mag 7. They were just having them play really good spots, enabling them to do what they needed to keep Virtus Pro in check. I actually looked for quite a while like both teams here were going to take each other's picks. VP taking Astralis' pick and Cobble's Overpass, and Astralis taking Train, and that this was going to be a 3-map matchup. But in the second half on their CT side, Virtus Pro basically dealt back everything that Astralis had dealt in the first half. They did a great job of holding. A couple of really good plays, including again Taz with a CZ, starting at a B site, taking down a couple of guys, and then rotating over to finish off the round at A to get the final kill. Another huge performance by him. Neo with the op was spectacular. There was actually a point in Train on CT side where VP was using a 3-op setup, which is a little bit unusual and very risky, but they were able to pull it off, make it work. And again, second map like the first one, going into overtime, but this time instead of being oh so close at the end of the first half and then almost letting Astralis leak back in, Virtus Pro swept the overtime, taking all 3 rounds in the first half on their CT side and then winning the first round on their T side. So that kind of goes over how the games went down. As far as I'm concerned, great game by both teams. It would have been really interesting to see how this would have gone down if Astralis would have had their full lineup or even just still had Dupree, because really it felt like having Glaive in the lineup as a stand-in was not really feeling like that much of a downgrade. He was still playing very well, actually fragging at a lot better rate than most of the rest of Astralis, including the regular guys. Like I said, on first map he dropped almost 30 frags. The only one above him was Device. Zipic was right behind him, and then Kerrigan maybe didn't have the greatest overpass. He was just under 20 frags. And then on the second map, Device led the way by a ton. Not just for Astralis, but for the map in general with 36. And then Virtus Pro had 2 guys at 26 for their top fraggers, which is the same amount of kills that Glaive had on the Astralis side for second place. And then Kerrigan was behind him at 18, and then Zipic's behind Kerrigan at 17. So you gotta give props. You gotta show a lot of respect. Not only show respect for Glaive for the job that he did for Astralis as a stand-in. Like, you wouldn't have thought that this was a guy who wasn't normally on the team from watching the games. But you've got to give a lot of props to Glaive for doing so well as a stand-in, and you've got to really give it up for Astralis for putting up so much of a fight despite being down Kiarbi and then having to emergency sub for Dupree with their coach Sonic. Good game by them, great tournament by them, and I look forward to seeing what they do in coming tournaments and going forward towards the next major. Now, second game of the day was SK versus Flipside. Again, huge boost for Flipside, managing to upset NIP at the last day of groups to gain that Legends status and make it into the playoffs. And we ended up with a 3-map set of Mirage being SK's pick, Nuke being Flipside's pick, and then Train as the randomized map. First map kind of went as you would expect it to, considering it's SK Gaming on Mirage. Obviously a map that for them was pretty big, kind of like their coming out party. This was where, back when they were still Luminosity, this lineup really made its mark on the CSGO community. And they basically just controlled the game to the point where Shara was left doing 360 spin bots and T-spawn towards the end of the half, which it's kind of sad to see that kind of stuff. You want games like this to be competitive. You want people to put up fights all the way to the end, but 11-3 going into the final round, 12-3 at the half. Just SK Gaming in control. They ended up finishing off second half pretty quickly, letting Flipside kind of bring it back a little bit, gaining 4 rounds, but quickly finishing at 16-7 before they could get too close. Obviously, SK dominated. Guys were making shots. Guys were making plays. FNX, Taco, both with over 20 frags. Coldzair just below 20 at 19. Whereas for Flipside, the only one who really seemed to perform on Mirage was Markelov. Huge performance by him. 21 frags, 21-17. The only person on Flipside to actually go positive on Mirage. Blade did a decent job of fragging, managed to pick up 15 kills, but not enough from the rest of the team to really carry the weight. World Edit was very shut down this game. He only managed 8 frags. Waylander was bottoming for them at 6. Char didn't even break double digits either. He was sitting at 9. So obviously not a great first map for Flipside. So we go into map number 2, go into Nuke. It's Flipside's pick. Okay start for them. They actually managed to keep the first half pretty close. 9-6 finish. Flipside starting on T side. Not able to close it out on T side. Very close game. They actually did a really good job of competing with SK on this map and kind of staying in it. There were some rounds where they kind of got railroaded, kind of got ran over, but there were other rounds where they were able to do a great job of controlling a strong team. Manages to go to overtime, but just not able to do enough. SK picking up 3 rounds first half overtime, and eventually finishing off last round of the first overtime. But no, much better performance by Flipside on the second map, even though they still weren't able to eke out the win, even though they still got 2-0'd. They did a good job of fighting back after a disappointing first map, and you've got to give them credit. They could have basically just hummed and hawed and given up after the first map after being so thoroughly defeated on Mirage, but they came back, they reset, they fought hard, and they actually did a decent job of keeping it a close game against SK. SK with just solid performance throughout the lineup, pretty close in frags. 2 players with 27 frags, Fair with 26, 2 more with 23. Like, everybody was close, everybody was doing their parts, everybody was getting kills. And for the most part, it was same for Flipside. World Edit and Waylander kind of led the way on Nuke. World Edit with 31 frags, Waylander with 28. Both actually out-fragging all of SK, but not the greatest day for Shara. He struggled on this map as well, only dropping 15 through 36 rounds. So obviously a good effort by Flipside to try and pull this close, try and force that third map, but you can obviously tell who the better team was here, and SK has done a good job of looking fairly unstoppable so far in this tournament. So this takes us to our third matchup, and you may be able to tell who won. You may already know beforehand, but obviously we have Navi, who won Group B, versus Team Liquid, who came second place in Team C. both teams have looked so good so far this major. I honestly think either VP or Liquid could have won Group C, honestly. They put up such a great matchup in that Day 2 best of 1. Both teams playing really well, and for Liquid, in this kind of odd, weird new lineup, JDM, who's only been on the team for about a month, Simple, who's only been back for about a month for the ECS finals, and this major that are supposed to be his last outings with Team Liquid. It started actually really good for them on Train, which was Navi's pick. Team Liquid starting on T side managed to do a really good job of controlling what is normally a very good T side on Train for Navi, holding them to only 5 rounds, and they barely got that. But Navi, strong Train team, took control of their own CT side, and only giving up 1 round, thoroughly controlled the second half of the first map. Good performances by pretty much everyone. Guardian seemed a little bit slow today, a little bit off today, especially on this first map. Couple of missed shots, but sometimes it just came down to opportunities. He was really slowed down for a good portion of the first half, but fortunately, guys like Flamey, guys like Edward, did a good job of stepping up, filling the void. On the other side for Liquid, a couple of really odd rounds, a couple of really surprising rounds that they probably shouldn't have won that they managed to eke out. An eco win where Nitro got an ace, Elige with a good 4K. Like, a lot of good step up plays in the first half on CT side for Team Liquid in this first map, but just not able to carry it over into the second half. Just never seemed to have any real life or jump to that T side on Train, even though they were still able to manage a couple of close rounds, only able to pick up the 1, and like almost any time, only picking up 1 round on 1 half is not going to do the trick. So this took us into map 2, which was Liquid's pick, which was Nuke, surprisingly enough. First time I've seen Liquid pick Nuke for a map. They seemed a lot better prepared for Nuke than they had on Train, even though Train is usually considered a decent map for Liquid. They came out with a lot of jump, managed to keep the half really close on T side, which is still normally considered the slightly weaker side on this Nuke map, despite all the changes that were made to it before it was reintroduced to the map pool. Still able to pick up 7 rounds, still able to keep the half really close. And then they got on to T side, and they started strong. Then Navi kind of seemed to figure out what they were doing, kind of counter it a little bit. Nico, of course, loving to use the XM on A site on Nuke. Was working for him for a little while. Then they started to be able to take him out without him doing a lot of damage. But once Liquid seemed to get serious, everybody bought up, including Hiko on a rifle. They started winning rounds again, taking momentum back, and managed to end the game nicely. So this took us to our third map. First 2 maps ending with relatively similar score lines. The first one ending 16-11 for Navi. Second map, Nuke, ending 16-12 for Liquid. So fairly close match. So you come in, you expect a good third map. They're playing Cobblestone. This is the map where Navi beat NIP, day 2 of the group stage. But Navi, starting on CT side, Team Liquid just ran the show. Like, I could not believe how strong Liquid was looking on their T side. They just seem to be able to take bomb sites with little trouble, no hesitation. When they executed, they almost always had a good outcome to it. And yes, there were a couple of times they were forced to clutch very heavily, including a 1v3 in the final round of the first half that Simple managed to pull off, taking 1 player at door, moving all the way around from bomb site to alleyway in order to get a player in drop, and then finding the final frag on a player half in, half out of smoke on site. Huge play by Simple, very important clutch, and in really a spot that Navi should have won. That's got to be very demoralizing for a team. To be so one-sidedly blindsided on a map in the first half. They did do a good job of starting to pull it back. They did give out the pistol round, which I think a lot of people thought that the map was over at that point. But Navi gets the second round eco, manages to pull together a couple of rounds, but once gun round started, Team Liquid finds a way to get back in control and just doesn't let Navi hang around and grind out rounds long enough to make this a close match again, taking the third map 16-6. A lot of people consider this a huge upset. I honestly don't think so. I think this was a great matchup. I don't think Liquid was as much of an underdog as a lot of people are making them. I know Navi is a good team, but a lot of things have been working really well for Liquid as of late. The lineup that they brought to this major with JDM, with Simple, with the normal core of Nitro, Elysian, Hiko has seemed to really mesh well. They all seem to really work well off each other. And when you get a map like Cobblestone where Simple can go ham, Nitro just seems to absolutely love this map. In JDM, whether he's playing B-Long, whether he's playing Chicken Coop, or whether he's playing site, always seems to come up with some really good key kills on this map. And like usually in order for Liquid to do well, they have to basically kind of keep it close and hope that Hiko clutches the important rounds, clutches those close rounds where, you know, it's right on the cusp. It could be a game changer if they lose it or if they win it. And I find that doesn't usually work well for them on Cobblestone because they usually have Hiko playing drop. And with so many teams attacking drop, he's either gone early at the beginning of the round because he gets picked off at drop, or he gets those couple of picks early, and then that puts them in a good situation to win the round. So that's the Hiko factor isn't necessarily something that they can rely on too heavily on Cobblestone, but like as this match showed, they don't really need to rely on it on this map, and they haven't really needed to rely on it that much at all in this tournament. A lot of people have stepped up. Nitro and Elite have been huge in my opinion. Just an incredible tournament for both those guys. So this means that Navi, runner-ups at the last major, are out in the quarterfinals. It was a tough path for them. Maybe a little bit of an easy match on day one against Flipside, but then they have to go up against NIP, who has been showing decent form for the most part recently. They managed to get by them, and then the quarterfinals they get a Liquid team that's just playing so unbelievably good for a team that has basically a stand-in in Simple. But like how good of a stand-in is that? Like, we know this is supposed to be Simple's last tournament with Liquid. To see him come in, and he top fragged on Cobblestone. He went 28 in 13 on Cobble, out fragging everybody else on the map. Almost full 10 frags over Nitro, the next highest on Liquid, and a full 10 over Edward, who top fragged for Navi. He's been playing really good. The whole entire team really has been playing good. Nitro and Elish have really opened up and basically taken over a lot of really good rounds for Liquid, and this has helped them be really successful because it's not as much pressure now on Hiko, on JDM, to have to get those important frags, because guys like Nitro and Elish, who are getting those early round picks usually in Simple, who basically just doing whatever he needs to when they need him to, it takes so much of that extra weight off of those guys' shoulders from having to get those important frags because they don't have to do it as often. Good game by these guys. Obviously tomorrow, semifinals, we're going to talk about their opponent in a second, and we're going to talk about the matchup in a second, but I have high hopes for this Liquid team. I really do. So, last quarterfinal match of the day was Fnatic versus Gambit. Gambit taking first place and was kind of the easiest division of this major, including Gambit, CLG, Astralis, and Dignitas. A lot of people were thinking of this as the weak group of this major. be honest, I thought Gambit was playing really well. But in this matchup, you could just see still, despite how strong they've been playing, just how much of a gap there really still is between a team like this and top teams like Fnatic. They basically just kind of got railroaded on both maps. Like, Train, which was Gambit's pick, like, Fnatic ends up starting on T side. Generally not the favorite side on this map, but they go out, they control the game, they control the pressure, and they end up putting up 11 rounds on their T side, only giving up 1 in the second half on T to Gambit, just controlling it on CT side. Huge performance by these guys, and it looked like Fnatic of old, the old unbeatable Fnatic of 3-1 tournaments and just absolutely destroying teams. If they continue to play like this, they're going to be tough to beat. They basically carried that over to Cash as well, going 12-3 on the first half on T side, and then just sweeping the second half 4-0 to go win 16-3. Like, it seemed like two teams in two very different leagues in this game. And obviously, Fnatic is firing well at this point, and it's going to be interesting to see how teams match up and who's able to proceed through the semifinals, because I think we've got a lot of good teams still left in this tournament. So next we're going to talk about the semifinal matches, which are tomorrow. Schedule. I just want to check what time they start for me, because this is going to be a pain in the ass. They start at 4 o'clock in the morning for me. Yes, I can sleep in! They don't start till 9! Yeah, I can actually get some sleep. I've been getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning the last 4 days, so I can watch the early matches before I have to go to work. So I can at least see some of the matches in full before I have to give my opinion on them. But we start off with Virtus Pro and SK. This is going to be such a tough matchup, I think, for Virtus Pro. SK playing so huge right now, firing so huge right now. They're playing like the team that won the last major. They look like they're ready for a second championship, and I think it's going to be very hard for Virtus Pro to kind of upset them here. I do think it's possible. You look at the way Virtus Pro played today against Astralis. It's got to be a huge confidence boost for them. They played so well, despite some of the closeness of both the maps that they played, going to overtime. A lot of really good rounds out of Virtus Pro, but you got to think they're not going to be able to get some of the eco clutches with the CZs and all that they got against Astralis today when they're playing SK. You got to think SK is going to do a better job of their anti-ecos and shutting those kind of plays down. I think it's still possible for Virtus Pro to win here, but I would definitely be leaning very heavily in the favor of SK. It's probably like a 70-30 split on the chances, in my opinion. Virtus Pro can definitely do it, but I find it highly unlikely. Especially when not only Cold Sarah, but guys like Fallen and FNX and Fair playing as huge as that right now. Taco, big games today against Flipside on Mirage. Like, this seems like a team that is poised and ready to win its second championship, and I don't know if there's anybody right now who can get in their way. So I definitely expect SK to take this, despite how much I would love to cheer for Virtus Pro in the finals. Second matchup of the day is going to be Team Liquid versus Fnatic. Hello, what up? Second matchup of the day is going to be Team Liquid versus Fnatic. This to me is almost a coin flip. Both teams played so well today. Both teams have played so well for the majority of the tournament. Fnatic, I think, has had a couple more stumbles along the way than Liquid has, but both of these teams played very well today. I honestly think that this one is almost a 50-50 matchup, because the way Liquid is playing right now, they're playing like they are on a mission, and as much as I wonder how a team is going to be able to stop Fnatic with the way they played today, they played so strong. You look at Liquid, you look at how they're playing right now, you look at how strong they're playing, you look at how well this lineup seems to be meshing and getting better every game. Like, you've got to wonder, how far can this lineup go? Like, they're playing so huge. I could see them getting past Fnatic. I could see them doing a good job getting past Fnatic. I could see it being close for sure, and I definitely think, regardless of what happens in SK versus Pro, whether it's a 2-0 or a 2-1, I definitely think Fnatic Liquid is going 3 games. Liquid has taken maps off of Fnatic in the past, I believe. Let me double check that. Let me just double check that real quick. Liquid Fnatic. Show me. Show me. Well, yeah, they beat Fnatic at Columbus in a best of 1 on Dust 2. They have taken a couple of maps. They've beaten them on Cobble. They've beaten them on Dust 2. They've beaten them on Cash. Like, there's a couple of maps that Liquid has beaten Fnatic on in the past. I definitely think if the right map vetoes go down, this is definitely a matchup that Liquid can get. I know they're not being given the greatest of odds right now by most bettors. Right now, VPSK is running at 25.75. Actually, you know what? It's a lot better than it was earlier. I think when I looked at it earlier, I think Liquid was running at about 24%. They're currently up to 36%. So that's actually about almost how I feel this is. I think it's more like a 45-55, or even, I would almost call this a straight up 50-50 matchup. I definitely don't think that there's as much of a gap between this Liquid lineup and Fnatic, especially considering, despite how well they played today, I still don't think Fnatic is really quite hitting its real stride right now. Olafmeister's been on and off. JW, not the greatest games today, despite fragging decently well. Dennis with some questionable plays. Crims, huge first map on Train. Kind of fell off a little bit on Cash, but then again, not really. It could just be because not as many rounds. Well, no. Only 2 less rounds. 2 less rounds, 10 frags less. So definitely would have been a little bit of a drop off. I don't know. I still think this is going to be a really good matchup. I really kind of wonder what the vetoes are going to look like here. Like if I look at the last best of 3. Last best of 3 that these two teams played. Beautiful match history. Last best of 3 that they played was in the ESL Pro League season finals. Like, that only went 2 maps. Fnatic won 2-0 then, but that would have been after Columbus when Liquid was struggling, when Liquid was choking. One of those maps actually went 16-13 in favor of Fnatic, so that might have been a bit of a choke play on Liquid there. Cash Mirage does 2. I'm just trying to see what it looks like. That's back in Inferno. Cobble Mirage, Cobble, Cash. These two seem to like to play Cash, Mirage, and Cobble a lot. I think Fnatic's permaban at the moment seems to be Nuke, and I think especially with the way that Liquid defeated Navi on it, I think that's definitely going to hold tomorrow. Liquid has been banning Cash a fair bit lately, but that could actually hold because Liquid does have a win against Fnatic on Cash, but they have 1 win in 4 maps played on Cash. They've never lost to Fnatic on Train. When did they play them on Train? Yeah, they've never played them on Train. Why is Train even in there? Cobblestone, Dust 2. Those are the 2 maps where Liquid has had the most wins against Fnatic. So, and they played a fantastic game against Navi on Cobblestone. So I think most likely what we're looking at for vetoes, we're probably going to see Fnatic ban Dust, Liquid ban Cash. I could see Fnatic picking like a Mirage. They can even pick an Overpass. They've never lost to Liquid on either Mirage or Overpass. And I think Liquid would probably pick Cobble. That leaves either whichever one of Mirage and Overpass doesn't get picked as one of the remaining random maps, Dust 2 and Train. And to be honest, 2 out of those 3 maps actually probably would favor Liquid a bit. I think Liquid's maybe a little bit of a better team on Train than Fnatic. It's been a while since I've seen Fnatic play Train, so I not really familiar with their Train play. But seen Liquid play it a couple times this tournament, has looked really good. So hold on. And my freaking finger is killing me because I'm getting some messages and I'm trying to type. So yeah, I definitely think that based upon kind of a predictable map choice, I think there's actually a very good chance that Liquid could actually come out ahead in this with maps in their favor. Inferno's not in the map pool. Like, if there's 3 maps that Fnatic has never lost to Liquid on: Inferno, Mirage, and Overpass. Those 3 maps, every time Fnatic has played Liquid, they've won. All the rest, Cash, they've got a 75 win percentage against Liquid in 4 attempts. Cobblestone, they're only 50%. Dust 2, they're only 66%. So not the greatest. Obviously, the Dust 2, their win ratio against Fnatic is less than Fnatic's win ratio against them. But at the same time, very small sample size, only 3 maps. They've won 1 less. So I definitely think we'll see Fnatic ban Nuke, just based upon how they've been banning it so far. Liquid looked really good on Nuke today. Liquid probably banning Cash. Not a map they've done overly well in. They could switch it up and ban Overpass instead, but I don't think that's likely. If they do ban Overpass instead, or Mirage, whichever one they don't ban is probably Fnatic's pick, maybe Cash. And then I think Cobblestone. Cobblestone to me seems like the most logical pick for Liquid to make. They've not lost to Fnatic on, well, they're 50% with Fnatic on Cobble. I think that's in 4 matchups. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, in 4 matches on Cobble, they're 50%. So I mean, what maps have they played so far? Yeah, Fnatic beat G2 on Train, but I didn't like their play in that game. Yeah, the last time that Fnatic played Cobble was in the ECS Season 1 Finals against TSM, and they narrowly won that 16-14. Picking up 6 rounds on T side, and then 10 on T. Now you look at their map pool. Train, not a historically great map for them. They're only 58% win percentage on Train. Cash, they're actually not considered very good either at 68%, but they seem to do well against Liquid on it, taking 3 out of 4. If Train is still available, Liquid could pick Train. I don't think it's likely. They've never played Train against Fnatic. I don't know how well that matchup would be. I don't know if they know how well that matchup would be. Yeah. I definitely think that Fnatic Liquid is going to come down to the maps and which team shows up better, because I think this is such a close matchup. But yeah. As far as the SKVP, I don't know. I still think that this is very in SK's favor. They've only played 4 maps lifetime. They've actually kind of split it. Back at ESL Pro League Season 3 on April 7th, SK won 2-0. Back in ESL ECA oh wait, hold on. That might be an old SK lineup. Yeah, that's an old SK lineup. Fuck. God damn it. I hate this site. Why? Show me match history, VP, and luminosity. Fuck. As I'm getting more messages. Show me match history, please. Wow. Luminosity and when Luminosity and VP faced off in, I believe it was the quarterfinals of the last major, that was actually the first time VP and Luminosity have played a best of 3. Actually, that's the first time those two have played a game, period. Outside of whatever it was I just said that was, where they lost to Luminosity on April 7th. No, that's the wrong lineup still. So yeah, this game at MLG Columbus is the only time VP and Luminosity have gone up against one another. They played Cash, Cobble, and Overpass. Luminosity won 2-1, and VP took Cash, Cobble, and Overpass. Both went to Luminosity. But you know what? Fairly close matches all around. 19-17 in overtime on Cash for Virtus Pro. 16-10, little bit of a deficit on Cobble. 16-11, little bit of a deficit on Overpass. It's kind of hard to predict what maps we might get here. But I think it'll be a good matchup. To be honest, I think we'll probably see about the same thing as we're seeing here. VP picks up a map, but I definitely think SK will just be maybe a little bit too much for them, I think. Which kind of sucks for me to say because I like VP. VP is my favorite team, but I definitely think SK has the upper hand in this game. But I've kind of ranted and rambled on a little bit too long today. Very long video for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys stuck around to hear it all because I think I gave some good advice for the semis, maybe? I don't know. I actually went pretty good with my bets today, actually. Won some good money on that Liquid game. Not that I condone betting. If you're underage, not responsible, don't do it. It's not good for you. Only do it if you know you can be smart about it and accept your losses. Don't rage. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a like. Let me know what 2 teams you think are going to make the finals. Who do you think is going to win these 2 matchups? Do you think it's going to be Luminosity Fnatic? Do you think it's going to be VP Fnatic? Do you think it's going to be Luminosity LG? What do you think is going to happen, guys? Let me know your opinions down below in the comment section. If you're looking forward to seeing more content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And while you're doing that, you can check out some of my old videos, some of my gaming stuff, or you can check out some of my stuff from previous days here at ESL 1 Cologne. But anyways, I'm going to get out of here for now. You guys know me on YouTube as SlapHappyGreen, and I will see you guys in the next video. For now, I'm out!